Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so the first thing that we would discuss is about the drill through functionality, which, if you remember in the last session, you and one of the students have asked me how to configure the drill through filters here in Power BI desktop, the drill through functionality. So I will just explain it a little bit how we can um, uh, uh, configure that functionality in Power BI desktop. So for that, what you need to do is, I'll remove this. So what I will do is I will drill through from this report to the data report. So ideally, what the meaning of drill through is in report terminology, in report concept. The concept of drill through is that from one report, when you're passing some data and you're viewing that particular data in another report, so that is known as drill through. So from this report you will pass some information to another report. So for example, in this report you have country, this slice of the pie, it represents United States. So when you drill through from this report to the other page, from this page to the other page, the country United States will be passed, and you will see only data for United States in this other page. Similarly here, say here if I drill through, here it is showing the category as bikes. So if I drill through on bikes, it will pass bikes in the next page. So in the drill through page, you will only be able to see the category bikes. The other category data you will not be able to see. So that is how the drill through functionality works. So how you configure that in Power BI is, right now if I right click, you can see the drill through functionality is not configured. So here also if you see, it is not configured. Now if I go to data, this is where I want to configure. So what I want to do is, the category I want to pass from my chart page to the data page. So for that, what I need to do is, here add, you see this column, add drill through fields here. So here I need to go to English product category. This is the field. I need to put it here. Okay. You see allow drill through when, and these are the values. Similarly, from this page, I also want to drill through based on the country. Let's say whichever country I'm, like this is in United States, if I want to drill through to the next page, it should show only data for United States. So here I will take the English country region name. and put it here. Okay. Now, if I go to this chart, now if you see here, this is my category, product category, bikes, this is accessories, and this is clothing. So if I now right click, you can see the drill through option is there, and it is showing drill through data. Data is my drill through page. So if I click on drill through, what it will do is it will drill through on this is for bikes. So you can see, so it should show only bikes data in the data page. So drill through data. You can see that only bikes is showing. Now see, you can see here in the drill through filters, you can see bikes is selected. Similarly, if I go do it the same thing for accessories, in the next page I will be able to see accessories data only. You can see only accessories. And here in drill through filter, I have only accessories. Now this function keep all filters on and off. Now what is the meaning of this option? The meaning of this option is the meaning of this option is other than your drill through filter, if you want to pass the filters which are there present in the chart along with the drill through filter, that will also be passed. So for example, in this chart, when you're drill through when you're doing a drill through on the product category, the year is 2008. So along with the product category, the year 2008 will also be passed. Okay, if you keep all filters off, then only the product category will be passed. The year will not be passed. If you keep the product category on, along with the product category, the year will also be passed. So that is the function of this keep all filters on. Now I will show you this. So it is doing a drill through on the country as well. Let's say this is United States. You want to drill through based on United States, so that on the next page only you want to see United States data. So you right click to drill through data. You can see here only United States data is showing, one bar. Okay. Now, if you, as I said, if you keep all filters on along with the product category, the year will also be passed. So let's say if I do drill through data, you will see that the year 2008 is also passed, and here in the filter also you will see the full date alternate key year is 2008. If I do a drill through on 2007, it will pass me 2007. You can see bikes 2007, and here see the key, the year is 2007. So this is the drill through functionality in Power BI. So this is how you can configure the drill through option in Power BI. Okay. Next thing is yes.
What if you turn on the cross report? What kind of result are you going to get?
Cross report is here. It will not make any difference because we are doing a drill through on the same report. Now, on cross report is only when we use it when you are doing a drill through from one report to another report.
I got it. Okay.
So this is like the same PBIX file in the same report, but different pages.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So the next thing that we would discuss is these tabs, the data tab and the relationship tab. Now these are the modeling tabs, so which we use for modeling the data. Okay. Now the modeling the Power BI data is if you know how to model your data in Tabular SSAS in Power BI, it is I would say 90% similar to Tabular SSAS. So creating calculated column, creating calculated measure, creating relationships, everything is around 90% similar to Tabular SSAS. So when I will show you how to do it in Power BI, you will see that it is very similar to Tabular SSAS. Okay, so the first thing that I would discuss is how to create a calculated table in Power BI, which we can use as a role playing dimension. Okay. One more thing is that here, if you see, actually, I created this in my practice session, so I will delete it. Okay. So the dim date that was there in the date table, I've renamed that to order date. Now, if you want to change the format of any column, let's say in fact internet sales, you have sales amount. Okay, earlier the sales amount format was showing. One second, let me check this file. So if you want to change the format of the file like the currency or something, let's say here if you can see product standard cost. Okay, you can see that it is in rupees and it is in 4 decimal places. Now, if you want to change the format of this column, then you need to go to modeling, and here you have the format. So you can specify how many decimals you want. Let's say you want to 2 decimal places, and if you want 1,000 separator, you can check this. And if you want dollars or any other currency, you can select the currency from here. So then you can see, so it has been changed to 2 decimal places with 1,000 separator and dollar currency. So the format of the value, if you want to change, you can change it from here by going to the data tab. Okay. Now let's say here if you go in our relationship tab, if you go to manage relationships, you can see that the fact internet sales, it has a relation with the order date key. Based on the order date key, it has a relationship with the dim date table, and we have renamed the dim date table as order date. But with the due date and ship date, there is no active relationship. So this is the same logic which we discussed while discussing relationships and tabular SSAS. So between two tables, you can have only one active relationship at a time. So between fact internet sales and order date, you can only have one active relation at a time, which is your at the present it is order date key. Now you don't have any relation with due date or ship date. So in that case, what you need to do is you need to create two separate tables which is a exact replica of order date as your due date or ship date, and then you need to set up the relation between those tables. But since it's an exact replica of order date, so you can create a calculated table from the order date. So how you create a calculated table is here. So this is the order date table. Okay. Now, if you click on here, or see there is, you go to the modeling tab, there is a column here called new table. So if you click on new table, it will create a new calculated table. So here I will give the name, let's say. So it will create a calculated table based on the order date table. So you can see it is an exact copy of the order date table. Okay. Similarly, I'll create another table known as due date, which is an exact copy of the order date table. So you can see here that I have created two tables, ship date and order date, from the ship date and due date from the order date table. Now if you go to the report tab, you will see that along with order date, you can also see these two tables, ship date and due date. Okay, now you need to set up the relationship here as well, otherwise it will not work. You can see the same way, there is only one solid line between fact internet sales and uh, this order date, which is order date key. Now you need to set up a relationship with this ship date and due date also. So for that, what you need to do is, now let's say this is your ship date. So date key, you will click on manage relationships, and here you need to select new. Okay. Now you need to select the ship date here. So you will get all the columns from ship date, and you will select fact internet sales from here, and you will get all the columns from fact internet sales. Now here you can see this is your date key, which is your primary key, and this will be your foreign key. So based on which you will form the relationship. and it should be one to many and in single direction. And you can make this relationship active. Why? Because there is only one single relation between these two tables. So you can click it here. Similarly, you can set up a relationship with a due date. So this is your date key and this is your due date key. So you will set up a relationship between these two columns, and it's a one-to-many relationship with a single filter. And you can see that this relationship is also created. Now you can see here that these two relations have been created new. So now you can slice and dice your data based on the due date and the ship date as well. Okay. So this is how you can set up the role-playing dimensions or the calculated tables in Power BI. Second thing, I would discuss how you can create a calculated column or a calculated measure in Power BI. Okay. So first thing is calculated column. This is also very similar to creating a calculated column in Tabular SSAS. Same way you can create, you need to write a proper tax expression to create a calculated column. So here, if you see that there is no relation between fact internet sales and this fact internet sales reason table. Okay, so I will create one order number which is a concatenation of the sales order number and sales order line number, and then I'll create the relationship. Why I need to create this relationship is because I will first create what was the default. So this was the default earlier. So this is how it was earlier, and I will. Okay. So now if I create, let's say, in my report, I create two separate tables. One table is I'll create the dim sales reason. So here I'll take the sales reason name. Okay, and I'll take the internet sales amount. Or I'll rather take order quantity. How many orders were placed for each sales reason? You can see that it is not working. It is giving me the all data. So let me zoom this. Okay, can be. So it is not slicing the data properly. Okay. Uh, Now, why it is not slicing the data properly? Because between this dim sales reason, this sales reason name is coming from dim sales reason, and order quantity is coming from fact internet sales. Now, there is no proper relationship between these two tables. That is why this slicing is not working. So, if you think about the data in our data warehouse, the relationship between these two tables is not a regular relationship, it's a many to many relationship. So we can configure this many-to-many relationship and Power BI as well, the same way we did in Tabular SSAS. So here if you see, this is the dim sales reason, this is the fact internet sales reason, and this is the fact internet sales table. Okay. One more thing is I also want that based on my order and line number, I want to see what is the count of the sales reason types for my orders, for each of my order. So for that, I need to create a measure in my dim sales reason called uh, sales reason count. Okay, so for that I will go create a calculated measure in my uh, dim sales reason table. So if you go here, Okay. Now I will create a calculated measure here which will give me the count of sales reasons. So this is, let's say I'll click here, click on new measure. Okay. When I click on new measure, it will create a new calculated measure in DAX. So I will give it a name, sales reason count, and here I'll take count. A count is nothing but count of non-null values. And here I will take the sales reason type. So this is nothing but a calculated measure. So when I create this measure, if you go here in the report, you will see so you see this symbol is there, which is showing a calculated measure, sales reason count. So when this symbol is there, you can understand it's a calculated measure. Now I want to see the sales reason count against each sales order. So for that, in the fact internet sales, I should have an order number, right? So for order number, I will create a calculated column which is the concatenation of the sales order number and the here if you see sales order line number and sales order number. So these two I will concatenate. So I'll click on here and I'll click on new column. So when you want to create a new calculated measure, you click on new measure. When you want to create a new calculated column, you click on new column. So measured will be for all records in your table. So it is like an aggregated value, and column will be for each and every record. It will calculate that value. So it will be like a new field in your table. So this is the column, and you need to write the correct DAX expression for that column. So I'll concatenate the sales order number with the sales order line number. I'll put a space. So what this will do is it will create a calculated column with a concatenation of order number and line number with a space in between. And you can see when this calculated column is created, you can see this is the symbol next to the calculated column. Okay. Now, same way, I also need to create a calculated column for our mapping table, the sales reason table. Why? Because based on this column only, I'll set up the relationship between the internet sales table and the sales reason table. So for setting up the relationship, I need that calculated column. So I'll click on new column. Somehow I pressed enter by mistake. So let me rewrite the expression again. Okay, and this I will name as actually I had created this column earlier, so I'll this because last time when it was an given error, it already created this column. So I'll delete this. Okay. So now you can see we have two columns as order number in our fact internet sales reason and fact internet sales, both tables. And I want to see the number of sales reason counts for each order. So for that, what I want to do is I want to create a table. Okay. Now here I will take my order number from the internet sales table. So which is, you can see it is a concatenation of the order number and the line number. And I will take the sales reason count from the dim sales reason table, the calculated measure which I created. And you can see also this relation is also not working as expected. So why these two relations are not working is because we haven't set up the many to many relationship with fact internet sales and dim sales reason properly. So that is why these two uh, reports are not working properly. So what I need to do is here, first I need to create a relationship between my fact internet sales and fact internet sales reason. Okay. So how I will create that relationship is based on my order number calculated column which we created right now. So I need to go here, manage relationships, and here there is a new relation I need to create between the internet sales and internet sales reason. Okay, and it will be based on the order number. You can see the column on which we want to make the relationship, that will be highlighted in gray. And it will be a one-to-many relationship. But since this we want to make a many-to-many relationship, we will select both in order to create a many-to-many relationship. Okay. can see both ways the direction is there. Similarly, this relation also we need to create as bidirectional to set up the many-to-many relationship. So for that, I need to make it both. Okay. Now, if you go to the report, you'll see that it is working now. Both the reports are working now. Because why? Because the many-to-many relationship has been set up properly now. You can see the sales reason count, and it is showing 2 for most, but for some orders it should be 1 as well. See here, for these orders it is 1, but for some it is 2. A lot of orders are there, so it will not show properly. Okay. So this is how you model your data, like setting up many-to-many relationships. You can set up in Power BI. You can create calculated columns, calculated measures, everything in Power BI after you import the data. Now, the next thing that we would discuss is how, see, when a particular kind of calculation, very commonly we need to do in Power BI is calculating the total for a particular category based on all members. Okay, let's say I want to see the sales amount for accessories or for bikes or for clothing. Also, I want to see the sales amount for accessories, bikes, clothing, all combined. So for all categories, what is my sale? Okay, that is also one calculation. Sometimes we want to see another calculation which we want to see. Sometimes the business wants that kind of calculation is in the filter. Based on my selection in the filter, it will show the total value. Let's say in my filter, if I select accessories and clothing at the all level, it will show the total sales for accessories and clothing only. If I select accessories and bikes in the filter, it will show the total for accessories and bikes only. If I select all three of them, then in the total, the all three values added, it will show. So we can implement that kind of calculation also in Power BI with the help of the all selected function in tags. In tags, there is a function called all selected. So that we need to use for this kind of calculation. So what I'll do is I'll create two calculated measures, one with all and one with all selected. So you will be able to understand the difference, how they work. For example, here in this table, I will first create a new measure which will give me the all value for all categories. So I will write here total sales amount not selected. So this calculation will not depend on your selection in the filter. It will give me the total of all the categories. It does not depend on what you select in the filter. So I'll use calculate. Internet sales amount. Sorry, I have to close this. And then I will select all. Product dim product category. Now what this calculation will do is, it will give, every time it will give me the sum of sales amount for all the product categories, irrespective of what is selected in the filter or not, irrespective of the context. So if you see here, so this calculated measure is created. Now I'll create another calculated measure which will work based on your filter selection. So if you select accessories and clothing, it will give you the total for accessories and clothing. If you select bikes and clothing, it will give you the total for bikes and clothing. So it is kind of dynamic. So how you can create that kind of calculation? So I've created total sales amount selected. Why? Based on my selection, it will calculate the total value. So instead of all, I need to use the DAX function all selected for this. Okay. So this is created now. So you can see here I've created two measures. One is total sales amount not selected and one is total sales amount selected. Okay. Now I'll go to this page and here I create this. Okay. So here I will take the product category. So it will be easier for you to understand how it is the difference, how it is working. So this is the team product category and I will take the English product category region here. So this is my accessories, bikes, clothing components. Okay. Now I will first take the sales amount, the regular sales amount measured which is coming from my fact table. So it is nothing but an aggregated sales amount value. Okay. So this I will take here. So it is giving me the sales amount for each and every category. And so this is the regular sales amount measure. Now let's take the sales amount measure which we created for the selected one. Okay. So this is the selected one and this is the not selected one. Sorry. I'm sorry, my computer kind of froze. So I'll select it, the not selected. Okay. Now here the not selected one will give you the sale of all categories. So if you see here, this is the sale of all categories. The not selected is giving me the sale of all categories. That is expected. Now what I want for selected one is based on my selection in the filter, it will show me the total for only those categories. So if you see here, this is my English product category filter. Okay. Now if I want my total to be based on accessories and clothing only. These two categories. So I select this and I select this. So my selected amount, you can see this is the total of accessories and clothing, but my not selected amount is the total of all categories. Now if I select accessories and bikes, this will give me accessories and bikes. If I only select bikes, this will give me sale of bikes, but for the not selected one, it does not matter. For every any filter selection, it is giving me the all value for all sales for all categories.
Indra.
Yes, yes.
So total sales amount selected, it's showing for bikes, and when you're saying that it's not selected, like total amount not selected, does that mean it includes accessories, clothing, and components, like three things all together?
Yes, yes, right.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Okay. So this value is actually sales of accessories, bikes, and clothing, all three of them. Okay. So this is how you create a calculation for based on your filter selection. So sometimes you need to create this kind of calculation in Power BI. Sometimes your user says that I want to see the total based on what I select in the filter. So then you can use the all selected function to create this kind of calculation. Okay. So the next topic that we would discuss is how we implement security and roles in Power BI. And before that, we will take a 5 minutes break and then we will discuss that topic. So any questions or any doubts you have regarding what we've discussed till now?
Indra, I actually want clarification on this thing. All selected, that thing I understand. But when you're choosing all in DAX, what does that mean? Like all, I mean, the difference between all and all selected.
All is actually for it is calculating the data for all the values of that column. So let's say for when you're saying all product categories, so it is calculating the sales amount for all the product categories: accessories, bikes, clothing, components. Right now components, there is no data. The data for components is blank, so ideally it is doing the sum of accessories, bikes, clothing, the sum of the sales amount for all the categories. But when you're saying all selected, based on your uh, selection in the filter, the number of categories changes. It is kind of dynamic. So if you select accessories, bikes, clothing, it will give you the same result as all. But if you select accessories and bikes, it will give you a different result. For example, if I select all, see, it is giving me the same result. Components, right now there is no data, so it does not matter. Even if I select components, you can see that it's blank, so it does not matter. But for these three, if I select all three, then selected and not selected will give me the same result. But if I select any two, then it will give me a different result.
So basically, all selected is your preference, what you're choosing.
Yes, yes, right.
Okay, all right, I got it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so I will take 5 minutes break and then we will continue with our session.
Mrs. Saha,
Yes, yes, tell me.
uh, how do we learn all these functions? Because there are so many.
I know, it is kind of uh, because see, in tax and MDX, there are limitless functions, so you will not be able to learn everything from training. So more and more, ideally, the way you learn is more and more you will learn with experience. So when you are working on any project, so one kind of calculation you need to do, and then you will learn. Okay, I can do this kind of calculation with this function. Then you know that from training, ideally you won't be able to learn all the functions because it is a very big language. Even at this stage, even I have so much experience of working, but still I don't know all the functions in MDX and DAX. So it is like limitless. So you cannot say for sure that no person knows everything. It is just that with experience you learn more and more.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
I have one question here before you leave for
Yes.
break.
Yes. Tell me.
When you create this replica tables, like for due date and ship date, how does it affect the memory or the performance of your database?
You mean the calculated tables?
Yeah, because we created the same table uh, the same replica table of the original table. So we are duplicating the tables. So it will how it will affect the memory or performance of the database.
Yes, it will see it will because the if you're using uh, the import option, obviously what Power BI does is it takes into memory all of the space. It occupies the space because when I will publish this data in Power BI, you will see that there is a space allocated. So when I'm adding calculated columns, it will obviously take up some space that is there because but sometimes you need to do that because if you have role playing dimensions and you need to implement that, then you need to go for that. But yes, it will occupy some space, not exactly memory, but the size of your file, the PPIX file, and the size of the file that you publish to your Power BI server, that will increase. The performance, I won't think that the performance will be impacted much, but the size of your file and the size of the data would increase.
All right. So the benefit that we are getting from the creating this table or from the relation is much better than the space that it will take.
Yes, right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I am back now. Okay, so the next topic that we would discuss is how to implement security in Power BI. So here also in Power BI, we implement security based on role. So you need to create roles to implement the security. For example, if you want to create roles, you need to go to the modeling tab. Here, there is one in the modeling tab, there is one button called manage roles. So you need to click on this button. And here you see at the moment no role is created. Now I want to create a role. The members of this role will only be able to see the data for United States. They will not be able to see any other data. So for that, what I need to do is I need to create a role. Here I need to give a name to that role. For example, United States. Okay, now here I need to go to this filter to this table where I want to create the tax filter, and I want to create add filter. See, if I want to hide all rows, I can create choose this option as well, hide all rows, but I will not do that. I will select the country as United States. So the members of this role will only be able to see the data for United States. Now I will check the syntax, whether the syntax is correct. Okay. And then I click on save. So this rule is created now. If you go to manage roles, you can see one role is created for United States. Now I want to see the data based on this role. So you can see here now I'm seeing the data for all countries. So if I click on, if I see the data with that role, using that role, then I will only be able to see the data for United States. I will not be able to see the data for other countries. So if I go to view as roles, and here if I select United States and I click on OK, you can see here all the other country data is gone. So you can see here it is only one single color for United States. Okay, here also one bar is there for United States. All the other countries are not there at the moment. Why? Because I am viewing this data with this role United States, which has only access to United States data. Okay, if I want to stop viewing, I will see the other countries' data as well. Now you can see, I can see all the other countries' data. So now this is only for your Power BI desktop, the offline version. Now, in order to implement this in the online version, you need to configure one more thing. I will show you how to do that. Now, for example, this is your report. Okay. Now you need to publish this report online to your Power BI website. Okay. So you click on publish. Okay, now here I need to give you the credentials for logging into Power BI. So Akshay has created this credential for this batch, which is the user ID and password. Now this credential, this account has the Power BI service, Pro service. It is a trial Pro account. So the Pro service will be available for 60 days. Okay, after that it will not be available. So if you want, you can use this account for 60 days. After that it will not be available. Okay, now this is my workspace. And click on select. Now it is publishing this PBIX file to my Power BI server. Okay. Now now you can see here, this is my online Power BI account. You can see here at the top it says Pro Trial, 56 days left. So this is a Pro Trial account, trial license. After 56 days, I will not be able to use a Pro trial account anymore. So how the Microsoft licensing is working at the moment is, initially if you create a Power BI account for 60 days, it gives you the Pro trial option. So you can upgrade to the Pro trial option for 60 days. After 60 days, You can use it as a free account, but if you want the pro license, you will have to pay for that. Though the charges are not very high, the charges are very nominal. So most projects I have seen, most clients who are using Power BI, they are fine with um, giving the charges for pro. So it is not a very big charge. Charges are very minimal. So if you want to configure the role in online as well, let's say if your customers, because see, when you are publishing your report online, your customers will obviously access the reports online. They will not access the PBIX file which you have created. They always will come to app.powerbi.com and they will access the reports from here. So you need to configure the roles here as well. So how you need to configure is when you publish your report, a data set is created. In this data set, there is one tab called security. So you need to go to the security tab. You can see that this United States role is created and it is showing 0. So which means that 0 members are added to this role. So here you can add the email addresses, which is your Power BI account email addresses to this role. So let's say you want to add 5 members to this role. So you add 5 email addresses here, but those 5 email addresses should be the Power BI account email addresses. Means that those people must be logging into Power BI using those email addresses. Okay, then only this role will work. Otherwise, this role will not work. Okay.
Indra,
Yes.
is premium expensive as compared to pro?
Yes, premium is more expensive. Premium is the there are some more features in premium which are not available in pro. So the premium is the highest level, then pro, and then free. So but ideally I've seen that in most implementations, if you have pro level access, most of the things your client is able to use. Premium, like very few times you require.
Okay, thank you.
Most of the times pro is sufficient. Okay. Yeah, in my last project, which I worked, there the clients, they were using pro accounts, but they were able to do most of the functions using pro.
So is it the choice of the client, like if they want to choose pro or premium?
Yes, because they will have to pay the amount, right? For the license, they will be paying the amount. So
So what do you say about large organizations? Like, do they prefer premium, or have you seen like still relying on pro?
no, because I earlier the client that I was working for, It is a kind of a big client only, so they have a quite a big business. So they were busy. If you are able to satisfy all your needs with Pro, then why do you want to spend extra and go for premium? Depends on your requirements. If you have any such requirement which cannot be fulfilled using Pro license, then you might go for premium. But if your all the requirements, the reporting requirements are getting fulfilled using Pro, then why do you want to spend extra and go for premium?
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay. Free account is kind of it is only for personal use, like for businesses or organizations. Free account will not be sufficient. It is Power BI has given the option for free account only mainly for personal use, because they also know very well that the kind of features that they provide with free account, you won't be able to use a free account at the organization level. So for most of the like shading features, like let's say you have created, because when you're at the organization level, when you're creating the reports, right, you need to share the reports with a group of people. You have some customers who will see those reports and who will use those reports. So that sharing feature is not there in free. So you won't be able to share your reports with your customers using free account. That is why, so Microsoft people, they are also very intelligent people. They know that that is why they haven't given that option in free. So if you want to use Power BI at an for any business purpose or for any organization, you need to use at least Pro. Uh, if you use premium, then it is obviously better. It is a higher license, but at least Pro you require.
I think free is for students.
Yes, right. It is like for SQL Server, you have the developer version and the enterprise version. The enterprise version is mostly for organizations and businesses, and developer version is only for personal use. So it is something like that.
Okay.
Once you have deployed your reports to online, this is like you can give this link to any one of your customers, and if they have a Power BI account, they can log into this account and they can view the reports. Now, the way how we used to give them access to the reports is we used to create workspaces. Now, this is the trick here. When you cannot create a workspace with a free account. So that is why sharing your reports is difficult with a free account. You can create a workspace with a pro account or with a premium account. So here this is a pro trial account. So I can let me create a workspace. So I can create, let me name this test. Okay. So let me give some description. Okay, now this is your workspace. So what you can do is when you let's say you have created 50 reports for your customer, and your customers have a pro account. So obviously you will also, when you're developing the reports, you will also need a pro account. So you can create a workspace. Let's say you can even create 5 workspaces. So it's not that you have to create one workspace only. This is just, I'm giving an example. So you can put your reports on each workspace. Let's say you have one workspace for finance, one workspace for sales, and one workspace for HR. So all the reports for finance you keep in one workspace. For sales, you keep in the sales workspace, and for HR, you keep in the HR workspace. And then if you go for each workspace, if you go here, you can see there is an option called workspace access. Now here you can enter the Power BI email addresses to whom you want to give access to this workspace, and different levels of access you can give. If you give member access, then they will only be able to view the reports. They will not be able to modify the reports. Contributor is slightly higher than member, so they can make some modifications to the workspace, but not a great deal. And admin is the highest level of access. You will not usually give admin access to your customers. You will probably give admin access to your team members, because who is doing the development. So if you give the admin access, they will be able to delete the workspace even. Delete the workspace, they will be able to do anything on the workspace. Member is like most of your customers, you will give the member access. They will be only able to view the reports if you give member access. So, and here you need to enter the Power BI email addresses where your customers have the Power BI account. Those email addresses you will have to give. Okay, now I have created this workspace, that therefore you can see that my name is showing as admin. Okay, now if you have a Power BI account, I can add your name here as a member or admin, and when you log into your Power BI account, you will be able to see this workspace and the reports in this workspace as well. So let's say you have developed 10 reports. You can publish those 10 reports in this workspace, and you can share this workspace to your customers. So the customers, when they log in using that email account, they will be able to view those 10 reports in the workspace. Okay, so that is how the access thing works. And rules also, if I said, if you configure the roles, and then whenever that member will log into Power BI, that role will be automatically working. So if I go here, that role will, now when let's say I have created this test workspace. Now if I want to publish this report again, it will ask me whether I want to publish to my own workspace or to the newly created test workspace. You can see here, if I click on publish again, it will ask me in which workspace I want to publish the report. You can see here, it is asking me which workspace. So let's say if I select test, this report will be published to the test workspace. By default, if you have a free account, then you will get only one workspace, which is your own workspace, my workspace. But if you have a pro or premium account, you can create more workspaces and you can put your reports in those workspaces. You can see here. So here in my, there are two workspaces. One is the my workspace and one is the test workspace. And the report is present in both the workspaces. Okay, so this is how you can create the access for your customers using workspaces and using roles. Okay, now the last topic that we would be discussing is that this also a very important topic in Power BI. Now let's say you have published your report in Power BI. You have also given access to your customers. Now the customers are able to access your reports. Now what about data refresh? How will the reports be refreshed? Right, you need to refresh, or let's say this every day you will not publish your reports, right? Whenever you publish your reports, it has the latest data, but after 3 days or 4 days the data will be old, right? So how will you refresh that data? So for this refreshing purpose, we have an in Power BI called gateway. So you need to configure your gateway for your data refresh or for connecting to your data source. If you do not, that is a very important step, because if you do not configure your gateway, then your reports will not refresh the data, and obviously your customers will not see old data, right? So you will not be, so you need to configure the gateway. That is a very important step in Power BI. So for configuring the gateway, what you need to do is first you need to go to settings and you go to manage gateways. You can see here that it is showing you don't have any data gateways. So for that, first what you need to do is you need to download the data gateway from Microsoft Power BI site. It is freely available. So it will download a software on your computer. So this is the software. So then it will wizard will be launched. You select the on-premises data gateway option. If you select the personal mode, then only you will be able to use it. But we always select the recommended of the first option. Oh, actually, I had installed the gateway earlier. So I need to uninstall that and then reinstall this. So what I'll do is I'll uninstall the old version. You can see here that the on-premises data gateway is already showing here. So I'll uninstall it. In the meantime, if you want to use the credentials for Power BI, you can use it. I will ping you the credentials. So just in case if you want to log into Power BI and see the um, reports or the options. So And the URL for accessing Power BI is app.powerbi.com. And you can also download this Power BI app on your mobile phone, and you can access it from your mobile phone as well. So you can give any name to this data gateway. Let's say I give this name training, and I need to give an 8-character recovery key. Okay. Okay, now you can see that the gateway training is online and ready to be used. You can see this is the gateway service account. So if you're using the Power BI gateway, there is a Power BI gateway service as well. So you need to make sure that the service is always running on your server. If the services are stopped, then your Power BI reports will not work. I mean, because they will not be able to use the gateway. Okay. Now I click on close. So here is my report. Now if I go to this and if I go to manage gateways, you can see that now it is showing that this gateway named training, this has been added to my account and I can use this gateway. So now when you have added your gateway properly, you need to add data sources to use this gateway, right? Whether it can be relational database, it can be your cube, whatever. So let's say I'll add my relational database. Okay. Now here let me give some name, like let's say uh, okay. Now let's say I can select if I want to connect to my relational database, I need to select SQL Server. If I want to connect to a cube, like my multidimensional cube or my tabular cube, sorry, here only, after I select SQL Server, it will give me the option, the server name and the database name. So in my case, the server name is localhost slash dev01 and my database name is I don't know why it is taking this long. I think my services are stopped again. Configure. You can see here that my services is stopped. So that is why we are facing this issue. Okay, now let's say this is my database name. So I'll connect to this. Okay. Now here, see if you're using your mostly we use the Windows authentication method, but so if you're using the account which like here this account if you're using, then you use the Windows authentication. But my issue is that I don't remember the password for this account. So here to connect T9U DVP71. So let me try one password, otherwise I will use my SA password. In VP7. Now this is my account, but the issue here is I don't remember the exact password for this account. Like when I had installed Windows the first time, I had configured the password, but let me see. If it does not work, I will use the SA account. This password is not correct. Okay, so I will rather use, I can use any account to which has access to this database. So I will, instead of, since I don't remember the password at the moment, so I will use the SA account for connecting to this database. You can see that the connection is now successful. You can go to the users tab, and I'm the admin for this gateway. Now if I want, I can use other, I can add other Power BI accounts here, the who can access this gateway. And there's data source. I can, let's say you have a Power BI account, I can use your add your account here, and then when you log into Power BI, then you will be able to see this gateway, and there's data source. Okay. So after you configure the data, the gateway and your data source, you need to go here and then you need to go to schedule refresh, because you need to refresh your reports, right? Otherwise no customer wants to see old data. So you need to go here, and then in the gateway connection you can see that user data gateway. You can check this option. Okay, and then you can go to scheduled refresh. Keep your data up to date. By default it is off. You need to keep it on, and then you need to select the refresh frequency, whether you want to refresh daily or weekly. Let's say you want it to do daily. This is your time zone, and let's say you need to add a time. Let's say every day at 6 a.m. it will be refreshed. Okay. Now, if the refresh fails, it will send the refresh notifications to the dataset owner. You can see that the schedule has been updated. So now on a daily basis, the data in this report will be refreshed. Now, if you have a direct query connection, a live connection, then obviously you don't have to schedule a refresh. Then automatically, whenever the report runs, it will automatically show the latest data. But yes, you need to configure the gateway in that case also, because if the gateway is not configured, your report will not be able to connect to the data source. So anyways, configuring the gateway is very important, whether you are using a live connection or you're using an import connection. If you're using an import connection, you will have to schedule the refresh. If you're using a live connection, you don't have to schedule the refresh. But configuring the gateway and the data source is required either ways. Whether you are using import or whether using live, you will have to configure the data gateway and the data source. Okay. So any questions you have regarding what we have discussed till now? Okay, so we'll end today's session. So this completes our session for Power BI. So you just go through and whatever we have discussed, and if you can create a report, try to create a report and see. And if you face any issues or any queries, you can ask me tomorrow or drop me a mail. So from tomorrow, we'll start the last topic in our training, which is SSRS. So that is the last in the MSBI stack training which we have. So we'll cover that tomorrow. So any questions you have? Okay, then we'll end this session now. Okay, and thank you for your time. Good night.
Good night, Mrs. Saha.
Yes, Indra, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I think you were muted again.
And I was like, what the heck? Okay, so the last day of class, is it going to be on 20th?
Like I think 2 days I will require for SSAS. So another 2 days we will end the sessions. We will end the training.
Okay. So basically, like, okay, tomorrow you're going to start SSRS, right?
Yes, yes, right.
Okay, all right. So any questions, I'll contact you, and take care, okay?
Yes, yes, sure, sure. Thanks.
All right, okay. Okay, bye.